So there's another video, a different video that has things being described that pertain kind of to the current dynamics that we have. Here I'm talking about my basically 1.5 year career at Bank of America in terms of what that dynamic was like and how that might be relevant now in terms of the relationships that we had and the overall dynamic that was a part of. It seems like the workflow kind of was structured around kind of a set of relationships that never really stuck. So the boss figure and the assistant manager were authoritative. They're insofar as their authority pertains to certain definite operations within the banking activities. In terms of the interpersonal relationships, the attachments have really more to do with a kind of day-to-day coexistence basis that's predicated by kind of a triangular formation that also takes into account the South America. So the ultimate responsibility or dereliction for such a relationship set has to do with finality of the relationship triangle. And in my view, that triangle doesn't really ever get fulfilled because one, the people don't ever seem to have relationships that stick and congeal with me. I mean, like if Jackie and I had a really deep relationship, then that wouldn't be a triangular relationship. I mean, you could have two people and then add additional people to the two people that you have. And, Mumbai is a great place, but you're, I think, navigating a situation where, like, the CNN news cycle or this program is operating at that time in 2010, 2011, kind of on its own basis and its own merits. So insofar as CNN is going to be a definitive member of the triangle or capping off the triangle, really I don't see that as being the major threat or the major locus of focus. Even at that time, the golden seat is being talked about. I mean, that's a little bit more relevant, but it's still a little bit far afield because Mr. Obama's presidency is in a really tangential whatsoever way ever going to find its way back to the golden seat. So the issue seems to be that the news cycle, like with CNN, is kind of saying that there should be a triangle formation, and at Bank of America, we're not directly playing into that. It's up in the air, up in the air, up in the air. And so insofar as we can have a trust basis, we can only do that insofar as we don't eventually calcify a real calcification of such premise. The where this really gets put into storage is, I believe, in 2012. I identify with Sapporo as a triangular-shaped Japanese island, and I mean it's a triangle, but it's an island, so it's not really a set of relationships or relationship set. So the issue is, if the triangular formation ends up being resolved in that Sapporo is a triangular-shaped island, a relationship set isn't of a triangular fashion. The relationship set is never really turns out to be of a triangular fashion. Kyosanto, the Japan's enamorment with the Chinese Communist Party. Yep. I don't know that Sapporo is a property of China in terms of being a public island. That's the way in which it's related, is that it's triangular, and so the issue in terms of Chicago fitting under triangle sphere just doesn't really work out ever. The sense that which that one leg of the triangle or one leg of the tripod is always faulty is problematic. The fact that you either have three people or you have two people and one's always, and then there's a missing member or a third point to the triangle that's always either buttressed or venting or some sort of aberrational behavior, seems to be kind of a false premise as to why you need to have this triangular relationship, why that would be such a essential basis that is then falsifiable. So it seems like your systems, if they're inefficient, you might end up searching for an explanation that has to do with on-the-ground relationships, but then the system just ends up issuing predications of insufficiency that don't solve a problem. They're just saying, like, well, this is a square box and you're putting a triangle peg in it. That's not exactly a problem. It's kind of like a categorization that's where things don't quite fit together. So I don't know how everybody worked through that period of like 20 early or late 2010 and 2011, 2012, early 2012, where we were dealing with this kind of triangle issue. I suppose if you don't work on it at all, your risk is zero. I mean, it's like saying, well, if you have regulated emissions on a factory, you're at risk of violating the emission standards. So if you just have no regulation whatsoever, then you can pollute infinitely and there's no problems. And you end up polluting a lot. That's the problem, is that you end up with that river that starts on the Cuyahoga River, I believe. So in retrospect, what did we do at Bank of America? We kind of danced around tendering a letter of resignation to CNN. And why did we do that? Because that's not exactly a fulfilling paradigm. There's relevant issues to work on. There's irrelevant issues that you can ignore sometimes. But in terms of just absolutely submitting to um, the idea that you can fulfill your life's work by creating a Yahoo email account, I think pretty soon you'd find out that you just created a whole bunch of negativized collateral. So that's what happened there, and those are the underlying reasons for why it was that way.